All right, what's good, people? So today we're going to talk about the vosteed porcupine. So I actually won this knife from @John Clar on YouTube in a giveaway that he did. I really wasn't planning on buying it, but kind of hard to pass up when you win it in a giveaway. Sorry about all the paint on my hands. Had to paint at work today. Uh, kind of reminds you of something, just a little bit, I'd say. You know, a clone of a clone of a clone, maybe? How about a clone of a clone? So you can see we are pretty darn similar here. Kind of funny. Nobody has a problem with this guy, which pretty much bit off every design element they could from this guy. But, to each their own. We'll kind of go over that a little bit more here in a minute. So opened up at 7 1/4. It weighs 3.2 ounces. Again, this is 3.2. I think the original is closer to 3. This might be closer to 3.1, but it's close enough, We got micarta, 14C, 28N, proud liners, and it's a top liner lock. And then we've got jimping everywhere, so that's why they're calling it the porcupine. And then we've got aluminum blue accents on this one, and a paper clip style clip that is reversible. And this knife's good. It has like one kind of major issue in my opinion, which is actually the reverse flick. I'll just go ahead and get right into it as I flub it, which I tend to do a lot with it because the hole is just, it's not low enough and it's not chamfered around the edges, so I end up getting hung up in it, and it's just awkward to reverse flick. I have to kind of make sure that my nail is half in, half out, right up against this corner right here, and as long as I do that, I'm fine. But it's just not very, it's not intuitive. I can't just grab it, pick it up, and flick it. If I try to, I fail it almost every time. And the detent on this one is, it's not like it's too stout, or it's, because it feels great on the thumb. Hell, it could even be stronger if I'm being honest with you, but because this placement of this hole is so awkward and not chamfered right along the edges, you almost think it's too strong on the reverse flick, but it has more to do, like I said, with just the hole placement and it not being chamfered. And what I'm talking about with it being chamfered is, so here's a 2-son. So you can see this hole is almost identically shaped, but if we look at them where they are in line to the pivot on each other, it's actually a little bit lower. And because it's chamfered all around there, it makes it real easy to reverse flick it. It's like my finger just naturally lands in the right area of it, and it's like riding on the inside part of that chamfer, So it makes it really comfortable and really easy to flick, aside from this thing having a late goddamn detent that I keep getting hung up on. But yeah, so this doesn't have that. And then too, another weird thing I noticed is they laid back this side of it. So you see, it's like I end up going for it like it's a frame lock or a liner lock a lot of times, because that is right there, and so it kind of feels odd in the hand when you're choked back right here too, because you feel it, you know what I mean? And the best thing I can figure is they did that to make it a lot easier to get your thumb in there, because like I said, the thumb flick on this thing is wonderful. It's very satisfying to thumb flick. And the button works good. It is very smooth when you have the button pressed in. And it's satisfying. It's just that reverse flick. And then it's very satisfying to be choked up in. Just like on this guy, it's almost has the same kind of trigger pull on it, but you can see the porcupine actually has more of a scoop right there, so you can really lock in right there. I feel like I can really lock in. And now this jimping, unfortunately, it's not very functional. It's pretty darn slick, just like it was on this one. It's not quite as slick as it is on the raccoon, but it's just not doing a lot. It's not doing a lot for me as far as locking my finger in and keeping me where you want it to be. Unlike something like the Rosie, where this is locking me in. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't slipping off of this, you know, or Rosie clone, I should say. So it would be nice if the jimping on this was better, you know, and that goes for it everywhere. It's slick pretty much everywhere. And then if we look at these two again, so if we look at the button on this one is smooth. The button on this one is textured. I like this texturing on the raccoon way more. Because it just feels good, and it lets you know like you have a sure grip on that button when you go to depress it, you know? And the detent on this thing is perfect, you know? The reverse flick works good, the thumb flick works good. They're both super satisfying. And then if we look at the raccoon too, so it's not proud liners, they're inset liners. And all the edges of this are rolled super hard. They are chamfered like to the nth degree for what you would usually find on like micarta handles. And so this thing in the hand just feels really good, except for the fact that this is super cheap micarta. It still feels good in the hand, but not having the jimping, you know, hurts this one too. And again, we could probably use some jimping right here on the trigger pull would be nice. Back here on the handle would be nice, because this is just kind of slick, you know. This is the same way, but this feels like even cheaper micarta. And this knife is $70. This one's only $65. So we're talking $5 more. And we're getting proud liners, so not inset. A button that's slick, you know, so doesn't have the nice knurled texture on it. Jimping that I could honestly, you know, doesn't even matter if it's there, let's be honest. A paper clip style clip, which this clip I actually like better, you know, and it's still reversible with the inset tab, so I would assume this probably costs more to do. You know, these are okay, but the only bad thing is you get play with them side to side. You know, so this knife, it just kind of feels cheap. Overall, you know, especially for $70 goddamn dollars, man, it feels cheap in hand. You know, I like for $70 versus this guy. This is the Remet Rhino, which is also a you know, depression style liner lock. So it's not a top liner lock like this is, where the liner is back here in the back. You can see it right there. This one's in the front like a traditional liner, but the button is still actuating it. And this guy's only $50. Hell, the brown one's only $40. It's almost identical micarta. We got the blue aluminum pivot collar. Don't mind this clip. I put on this Civivi clip after the fact, but it comes with a very similar style clip. Jimping that's pretty much non-effective, but it does have the little scoop right here where your thumb just wants to naturally land. The nice cutout right here. The action on this one's really good. Even though the detent's kind of light on it, it's real satisfying to fidget with. My daughter loves this knife because it's so fidget friendly for her, because the detent's a little lighter. And I honestly don't even mind it because the detent's a little light. And it has the front flipper that actually works pretty decently. And this is 14C 28N too. You know, it's not quite as thin of a grind as the porcupine. Porcupine's, you know, a little bit thinner, but behind the edge they're damn near identical. This is a full flat grind, which means it cuts better. And I will say this thing cuts really good. This guy you can choke up on really good. And when you go to reverse flick it, you can flick it off of that fuller, or you can flick it off of the stud. Either one works good. So I don't know, you know, is this porcupine worth $20 more than the Remet? Hell, I don't think so. I think the Remet actually looks better. You know, and then you got something like the Katuo Venter, which again, this is a compression style liner lock with the button, but the only bad thing about this one is it don't got a clip. But it's 14C 28N, and again, this is $50. This thing feels so good in the hand, but it came with a really shitty edge on it, and I still haven't ever put my own edge on it because it don't got no fucking clip, so I won't carry it, you know. But yeah, you know, I don't know. It's just hard to see $70 worth of a knife here. I mean, I like it. It cuts really good. You know, the 14C seems to be heat treated okay. You know, I think they run it at 58 or 59 to 61. So it's nothing special. It doesn't seem to have like a cryo treat on it or anything. And it does dull pretty darn quick. You know, a lot of people keep saying it's a poor man's Rosie. And maybe, I guess, just because of the looks on it. But as far as action goes, the best part about the Rosie is the reverse flick. And the reverse flick on this is not satisfying at all. You know? I mean, I hate to rag on it because I got it for free. But it just feels like a step backwards compared to this. You know, this being $5 cheaper, not having the proud liners, having the better clip, in my opinion. You know, I don't know. I struggle to see why I'm charged $5 more for this. You know, same way with the new Bowie style of this that came out. You know, I don't know. That's just how I feel. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments.